Veronica. Hi, nice to see you again after the summit. As you remember, I'm Shiraz. I reviewed your presentation. First of all, I had a great laugh. It was a great presentation, very engaging to your audience. You managed to get a good laugh out of them, and that's not trivial at all, so good job on that. I do want to actually focus and highlight a few elements that have to do with body language, with your non-verbal communication skills, in terms of content that was already covered by Wu. And I would like to start off, first of all, with the first crucial element that has to do with body language, and that's movement across space, in this case, movement across stage. Now, first of all, when presenting in a couple, it's quite a bit of a challenge, and in your case, standing so closely to one another, and actually when you had to switch, you had to shove a little bit, and to squeeze in, and to actually ask the other one to excuse herself. So it does disrupt, first of all, the levels of attention, and it seems like you're not well prepared for it in terms of your location on stage. And since you are very well prepared and you're very fluent in your speech, again, your messenger status as far as the content is concerned is wonderful, it's fluent, it's very much confident, and it's very knowledgeable. So your body language has to reflect that and support it as well, because as we said, it's 50% of your message, your body language, not only your content. So when presenting as a couple, and here actually if you looked at Kobe and Mazel's way of presenting, each one of them took a different side of the stage, and that way the entire room felt engaged, felt like it was addressed, so they covered both segments of the room. And in your case, you only stood, both of you, to one side, of course, the right side of the presentation, and both of you stood behind the podium. So I would actually encourage both of you to stand out, actually detach yourself from the podium, from the presentation, from the wall. Take 4 steps forward and stand actually in front of the podium, or at least detach yourself and take a few steps to the center of the stage. And this way, when it's time to switch presenters, to switch speakers, it doesn't seem like you're fighting for the same place in the spotlight. So you can stand one next to each other, and not necessarily the way Kobe and Mazel did, but make sure you don't hide one another and you don't speak one on top of the other, literally, but stand one next to each other and actually on the center of the stage or more towards it and more in front of it. And in this case, your topic about delivering the news, about actually engaging and communicating with your customer is very important. And your message here is all about engagement, is all about communication, is all about direct contact. And therefore, you have to mirror it and reflect it yourselves by the way you address one another as a speaker and by the way that you address your audience as a speaker. So your body language, your movement across stage, detaching yourself from the podium, and actually showing that you care towards your audience, you're compassionate to their pain points, is very important. עמרי כאן עצור, אני עוברת בלי לעשות סטופ לזה הבא. The second very crucial element when we have to deal with body language, with the nonverbal aspect of your presentation, has to do with tonality, with effective usage of your tone of voice. And here we divide it into 2 elements. One is the rate of your speech, the speed that you're talking to, and you can play with it. You can either heighten the rate of your speech and speak faster, or you can slow it down. Each way that you do it signals there's something different here. There's a different statement to be made. And the other aspect is the pitch, how high or low you choose to speak to your audience. So decide what your baseline is, what the usual way that you refer to your audience is, and then differentiate it by using a different pitch or a different rate to signal this is important. Please pay attention, audience. For instance, when you talk about the different focal points, the different how-to categories that you mentioned, then there's a title, and then there's the elaboration. So when you talk about the title, when you give them the recommendation, it should stand out. And what a better way to do it than actually standing it out and highlighting it by proper use of my tone of voice. So when you give them a headline, when you say, have a plan, and then elaborate, that's the title and then the elaboration. When you say, second, take responsibility, make it slower. heighten the pitch of your voice and then say the rest in a more refined way. The customer can't see what's going on. They don't know what's happening. So the tone of voice, the severity of which it's being spoken, should change itself, should be dynamic according to the content. When you move to the third point and say, be positive, this is a positive framing. The tone of voice should be different here. It's a lot lighter, so say it in a different manner. Say, always be positive in a different way. So actually, when you say, tell them what you can do. I can't fix the problem. What I can do is this and that. So highlight the word can with a higher pitch, with a higher rate of speech.
Customer, something that we've done quite often, right? So, all right, so often this is what it feels like, right? You got a customer, they're doing pretty well, kind of like the sleeping bear, and all of a sudden you have to deliver bad news. You have to say, oh yeah, we're going to have an emergency restart right in the middle of your month-end processing. Yes, we're going to do that. Or we're going to raise your prices 50%. Or, any number of reasons. But we've all felt this way that, holy cow, I really would rather run like hell to get out of there because I really don't want to deliver this message, right? So what we are doing is we're looking at some of the best practices, and it's kind of anticlimactic because she covered most of them this morning. But anyway, so one of the things that we thought would be important is people will always follow a person with a plan. So if you can come and deliver a plan to your customer, it's more than likely they will follow you, right? So have a plan. And I see there are different kinds of plans out there. It depends on where you are in the situation, right? If you're in a situation the customer's called, system is down, and they need help, then your plan is really probably a communication plan, because you don't know either, right? You have no idea either. So the communication plan would be something like, I'm going to call you back in 30 minutes. In between time, here's what I'm going to do, and you kind of work it through. Now, if you know now that they've been working on the problem, then it's really more of an action plan. So here's what we're doing. We're doing this and this and this. The operations team are on it. Database teams are involved. We have everybody on a conference call. This is the plan. And then the third plan is the resolution plan. So what is it that we're going to do? And that's the one when you say, okay, we're going to have to restart this weekend, or we're going to do something to your system. So have a plan, because the customer will be more comfortable and more agreeable if you sound like you know what you're doing. Okay? Second one is take responsibility. The customer can't see what's going on. They don't know what's happening. So it's up to you to take the responsibility, even though it's not your fault. It's up to you to take the responsibility to go and resolve the issue and get it to a point where the customer's back to working well again. The third one is use urgency. Extremely important. They need to know, the customer needs to know, that you're on top of it and that you're doing something about it. I did it. I did the wrong key again. The second one is be positive. And again, we kind of reiterated what Sharon said this morning, but customers don't like hearing the word no, right? And they'll say, no, you didn't really mean that, right? No. So if there's a benefit to what it is we're doing, even though it temporarily seems like it's a negative impact to them, find the positiveness in it. Make sure that you say, yes, we're going to do an emergency restart. I understand it isn't your issue, it's the farm issue, but here's what's going to happen. Your system's going to be better. It's going to take care of this problem, or your system will be faster. Find the positiveness in it. Find the benefit for the customer and state it. And then instead of telling them what we can't do, let's tell them what we can do. I can't fix the problem, but what I can do is to keep you informed. So always state it, and really try to focus on what you can do and make sure the customer understands that.
So the next one is surprise. Nobody, when we relate everything to work, nobody really likes to be surprised. All the customers would like to know all the steps that they have to follow when a situation is happening. So we have to really know let the customer know all the steps, process, and things that they have to do when they have to really have a situation that they are facing. They don't want to be, hey, what is happening? I didn't know this. So you always have to provide the status of the situation. Never keep the customer wondering. Update the customer frequently. Sometimes it's very difficult inside this organization to find someone that is going to tell you what is happening. So just try to partner with someone, either with Ray or someone that can give you some explanation about the situation so that you can pass this over to the customer. And follow up to make sure that the issue has been resolved. You have to follow up with the customer that everything has been done and is up to their expectations. The next one is not really about you. So you have to think in the way that you have to listen to the customer and you have to understand the situation from the customer perspective. In many occasions, the customer can be very frustrated and they can maybe take it onto you, but you cannot take it personally. I mean, it's really about the customer, not about you. So just remember that sooner or later this is going to be fixed. So you just have keep that in mind when you talk to the customer.
But it's really helped you with that one.
You just have to stay focused on the situation. Just keep calm. Don't fight back. Listen, ask questions to the customer. Try to understand their point of view. You need to know what is really the issue before you can really try to resolve it. So just ask as many questions as you can. And you have to remain calm to the situation. Never fight back. So you have to say, okay, you know what, sometimes you must even to apologize in behalf to us. It's really our job. You have to do it. Remain calm, don't fight back, and continue. And you have to put yourself in the customer's position. You have to do it. Think in their way. See what is happening. Maybe the reputation is on the line, or maybe they are going to get loud. I don't know. You never know what is happening. You have to understand what is happening. So you also need to know your limits. We always have to deliver bad news, and we cannot always resolve it. So you need to know when you have to request help, and just request the help from the right people. So always try to request the help from the main people that we have in the team. Involve management when needed. Don't be afraid. Rory is going to help. So you have to involve it. But before you do it, you always have to have all the details because he's going to ask. And come with alternatives. When we try to engage management, they are really not going to resolve the problem. But they have a bigger picture of the situation. Maybe there is another customer that has faced the same situation, and maybe they can let you know exactly what you can do, or what is the best way to do it. So just think positively, try to do it, and don't be afraid. So, in conclusion this job is not easy, sometimes it's not fun, but we have to do it, and we have to deliver it. And you have to always remember that it can always be worse. There is always someone that is in a worse situation than yours. As you can see in the next slide, this is what could happen.